Friends and viewers, The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. Alexandre Dumas, the famous writer of Count of Monte Cristo. And today, The Three Musketeers. Let us come towards the story of this Three Musketeers. So the story of this Three Musketeers begins with D'Artagnan, a young man from Gascony who dreams of becoming a musketeer, a soldier who carries a rifle. At the beginning of this novel, he sets off from his hometown and makes his way to Paris, where he plans to introduce himself to Monsieur de Treville, the king's right-hand man and the leader of the Musketeers. On his way to Paris, he picks a fight with Rochefort, one of the cardinal's best men, although D'Artagnan doesn't know who he is at the time. Upon arriving in Paris, he makes his way to Monsieur de Treville, who gets him started on the path to become a musketeer. Shortly after his meeting with Monsieur de Treville, D'Artagnan challenged three different musketeers, Athos, Porthos, and Aramis, to a duel, not realizing any of them are friends. When D'Artagnan shows up to his duel with Athos, he is surprised to see that Athos brought Porthos and Aramis as his second. However, before their duel can begin, the cardinal's men interrupt them and pick a fight with the musketeers. Realizing that his issues with the musketeers are silly, D'Artagnan decides to ally himself with them against the cardinal's men. D'Artagnan and the musketeer easily win the battle against the cardinal's man, and from that moment on, the four men become great friends. Shortly after his battle with cardinal's man, D'Artagnan becomes embroiled in a plot to save the queen from one of the cardinal's schemes. Simultaneously, he falls in love with a woman named Madame Bondouchy. Bondouchy works for the queen. She asks D'Artagnan to deliver a letter to the Duke of Buckingham in England. Although D'Artagnan doesn't know, the queen gave the Duke of Buckingham some diamond tags, jewelry, as a token of her affection. But now the queen needs them back, otherwise the cardinal plans to humiliate her in front of the king by revealing her affair with the duke. Wanting to win Madame Bondouchy's favor, D'Artagnan heads to London with Athos, Porthos, Aramis, and their servant by his side. On the way to London, Athos, Porthos, and Aramis stay behind at various points in the journey to deal with the cardinal's traps. D'Artagnan makes it to London and gives the Duke the letter. The Duke returns the tags to D'Artagnan, who swiftly takes them back to Paris and gives them to the Queen. Although this is a great success for D'Artagnan, it puts him on the cardinal's radar. Because of this, Monsieur de Treville tells D'Artagnan that he must watch his back. Not long after D'Artagnan returned from Paris, the cardinal kidnaps Madame Bondouchy, who now loves D'Artagnan in return. Monsieur de Treville promised to help Artagnan find her, but in the meantime, D'Artagnan must find out what happened to the musketeer. As quickly as he can, D'Artagnan set off to find each of his friends. He does so without too much trouble, although each of his friends is in a terrible emotional state that D'Artagnan must snap them out of. Athos in particular is in a bad mood and drinks a lot. One night while drunk, Athos tells D'Artagnan a story about his friend, who is clearly Athos himself. This friend apparently married a beautiful woman and then killed her after he found out she was branded with a fleur-de-lis. The story horrifies D'Artagnan, though he doesn't know what to make of it. Eventually, the Musketeers make their way back to Paris. From the next few weeks, they prepare for the upcoming war against the English. Additionally, D'Artagnan becomes acquainted with Milady de Winter, a woman who he knows is friendly with Rochefort. At this point, D'Artagnan thinks Rochefort had something to do with Madame Bonacieux's kidnapping and wants to find more about detail, although initially plans to use Milady to get to Rochefort. D'Artagnan quickly finds himself falling in love with Milady. Eventually, D'Artagnan goes to bed with Milady after promising to fight a duel on her behalf. So, while in bed with Milady, D'Artagnan admits he's been dishonest with her, and she gets angry with him. As he tries to calm her down, D'Artagnan rips Milady's nightgown, revealing a fleur-de-lis on her shoulder. This revelation causes Milady to go berserk. She tries to stab D'Artagnan, who barely escapes with his life. He tells Athos about the encounter, and though neither man says it out loud, both know that Milady is Athos' wife. Not long after this incident, D'Artagnan and the Musketeer ride off to war. Because D'Artagnan is not a Musketeer himself, he doesn't fight alongside his friend. While at war, D'Artagnan feels isolated and afraid. He knows Milady might try to take revenge on him, and indeed she does. She sends several assassins his way as well as some poison wine. Luckily, D'Artagnan foils her plan and is eventually reunited with his friend. Not long after D'Artagnan and his friends are reunited, the Musketeer overhear a conversation between the Cardinal and Milady. The Cardinal tells Milady that he will allow her to kill D'Artagnan. So, while with impunity if she assassinates the Duke of Buckingham, the Musketeer tell D'Artagnan about Milady's plan, and the four of them decide to write one letter to the Queen and one letter to Lord de Winter, Milady's brother-in-law, warning them about Milady's plan. Lord de Winter is D'Artagnan's friend as well as close confidant of the Duke of Buckingham. D'Artagnan knows Lord de Winter doesn't like Milady and suspects that she wants him dead so she can't steal his money. Milady sails to London, where she is promptly abducted by one of the Lord de Winter's men, John Felton, and taken to a castle. There, Lord de Winter explained that he plans to send Milady to a penal colony as soon as he can get a letter from the Duke granting him permission. Until then, Milady must wait in captivity. During that time, John Felton, a highly religious man, watches over her. Slowly, Milady seduces Felton and wins him over to her side. She tells him an elaborate and false story about how the Duke of Buckingham raped and unfairly branded her, which makes Felton, who already despises the Duke because of his religious belief, hate him even more. Just before Milady can be sent away, Felton breaks her out of her cell, takes her to the London on a boat. While in London, Felton goes by himself to find the Duke and kills him. He is captured in the process. Milady makes her way back to France and eventually ends up in a convent. There she meets Madame Bonacieux, who managed to escape the cardinal and has been hiding in the convent for some time. When Milady learns that Madame Bonacieux's d'Artagnan mistress and that Artagnan is coming to rescue her, she poisons her as an act of revenge. D'Artagnan finds Madame Bonacieux just in time to watch her die. Realizing what happened, D'Artagnan, who is now a musketeer himself, tracks down Milady with his friend help. They also bring along a local executioner who Milady wronged in the past. Together, the group holds a trial for Milady and declares her guilty. The executioner then beheads her. Everyone heads back to Paris. The war is over for the time being, and the cardinal makes D'Artagnan a lieutenant of the musketeer for his service. Although the cardinal does not like that D'Artagnan foiled some of his plan, he still got what he wanted, and he has a great respect for D'Artagnan. He also introduces D'Artagnan to Rochefort and forces the two men to promise to get along. D'Artagnan and Rochefort comply, although clearly a rivalry still exists between the two of them. In the years after D'Artagnan serves as a lieutenant for the musketeer, gradually all of his friends retire to marry and explore their passion. So, friends and viewers, this is the story of the Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. It is written in 1844 in France, published in 1836. The genre, this is a romanticism. Literary period of this novel is romanticism. Genre is historical novel. Setting place is France and London, England. And the time is 1625, 1628. The Four Musketeers. Antagonist of this novel is Milady de Winter, Rochefort, and Cardinal Richelieu. So this is the story of the Three Musketeers. I hope you will enjoy it. Thank you very much.